On a stormy night, a wounded dog and a terrified rabbit wandered into the forest. Two helpless souls, running from death, only to fall into another kind of darkness. That night, the forest chose them, and so, a pact was sealed, written not in ink, but in blood, between the living, the dead, and the forgotten, because in this forest, no one dies alone. The night had fallen heavier than usual, a thick, suffocating darkness that even the moon couldn't cut through. The forest was silent, as if the trees were holding their breath. Only the faint rustle of leaves and the occasional whisper of wind broke the stillness. Out of that darkness, something small and trembling darted across the muddy trail, a rabbit. Its fur was streaked with blood, its breathing sharp and panicked. It ran like it knew what was behind it wasn't natural. Moments later, the silence shattered with a low growl. A black dog emerged from the mist, large, wild, and burning with crimson eyes that glowed like coals in the dark. Its paws hit the ground with heavy, echoing thuds as it chased the wounded creature. The forest seemed alive now. Branches twisted, shadows shifted, and the moon's pale light fell in strange patterns, like broken glass. The rabbit stumbled, tripped, and fell beside an old sign buried under vines. The wooden board, half-rotted, read only one word: beware. The dog stopped a few feet away, panting, watching. For a moment, both creatures froze, prey and predator locked in a silence older than time. Then, from somewhere deeper in the woods, a voice called out, a woman's voice, cracked and ancient. "Bring it to me." The dog's ears twitched. Slowly, it turned toward the voice, its growl softening into a whine, like it recognized her. The rabbit looked around, terrified. Ahead of it, through the fog, stood an old hut with a faint red glow leaking from its broken windows. It hesitated, then limped toward it. The night had truly begun, and the forest would never be silent again. The rabbit limped through the thick fog until the outline of a crumbling wooden hut appeared ahead. The structure looked like it had been standing there for centuries, its roof caved in, its walls leaning, and the air around it heavy with rot. Every few seconds, the faint glow of red light flickered through the cracks, like the heartbeat of something alive inside. The forest behind was silent now. Even the dog had stopped barking. The rabbit hesitated at the broken doorstep, its small body trembling. Then, the door creaked open on its own. A whisper floated out. Not wind, a voice. "Come inside." The rabbit froze. The voice sounded human, but there was something wrong about it. Too slow, too deep, too knowing. Inside, shadows moved like liquid. The red light came from a single candle burning on a crooked wooden table. Around it lay strange objects: feathers, cracked mirrors, animal bones tied together with black thread, and a rusted cauldron filled with something thick and dark. As the rabbit stepped in, the candlelight flared, revealing symbols carved into the walls. Some glowed faintly, pulsing like veins under old skin. The smell of burnt herbs and blood filled the air. Then came the sound, a soft, wheezing laugh from the dark corner of the room. "You made it, little one," the voice said. From the shadows, a hand, long, thin, and gray as ash, slid into the light. The fingers bent the wrong way, like broken twigs. The rabbit backed away, heart racing. Outside, thunder rumbled. The air trembled. And then, two red eyes appeared in the dark, not the dog's this time. Someone, or something was waiting. The candlelight flickered violently as a shadow moved across the wall, tall, crooked, and whispering. Then she emerged. The witch. Her skin was pale and stretched thin like old parchment. Her hair, long and tangled, fell over eyes that shimmered faintly red. Her lips curled into a knowing smile as she leaned closer to the trembling rabbit. "I've been expecting you," she rasped. Her voice was dry, almost hollow, like something speaking through her rather than from her. The rabbit backed into a corner, its tiny body shaking. The witch reached for a jar filled with dark liquid. Inside, a heartbeat thudded faintly, not hers. She placed it on the table beside a bundle of herbs and began whispering strange words. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter. The air turned colder. The candle flames stretched upward, turning blue. Outside, thunder cracked again, and the door swung open. A cold wind rushed in, carrying the faint echo of a growl. The witch turned slowly, her eyes gleaming. "He's here," she said with a grin. My loyal hound. And from the fog, the black dog stepped in, eyes burning like molten embers, dripping with rain and mud. The witch smiled wider, exposing teeth too sharp, too many. Now, she hissed, the pact will be complete. The witch raised her hands, and the air inside the hut began to twist. The dog stepped closer, its growl softening. The candlelight shimmered over its wet fur, and then the impossible happened. Its mouth opened, and a voice came out. Not a bark, not a growl, a voice. Now keep your promise, Mother Witch. The witch froze, her smirk fading. The dog's eyes blazed brighter, like they were burning from within. Each word it spoke shook the walls. You made me what I am, it said. Now free me. The witch hissed in anger. You were dying when I found you. I gave you power, strength, life. The dog snarled, pacing the floor. You gave me chains. The rabbit watched in horror as the witch raised her staff. Silence, creature. The pact is not yet fulfilled. The air crackled. The dog's body convulsed, shifting between beast and man. Fur peeling into skin, claws bending into hands, but never fully human. Its pain echoed through the hut, raw and terrible. The witch whispered another curse, but her voice trembled now. The dog was no longer afraid. You cannot own me, it said. Not anymore. Then, everything went still. The candle went out. Only the red glow from the witch's eyes remained. In the darkness, the witch spoke softly, her voice now almost gentle. You remember, don't you? The deal we made. The dog stood motionless, breathing heavily. The witch's tone turned nostalgic. You were human once, the hunter. You begged me to save you from death. And I did. But the price was simple. Bring me a pure soul. Her eyes flicked toward the rabbit. And now, at last, you've found one. The dog turned to the trembling creature. A pure heart, the witch whispered, is power beyond life and death. With it, I will rise again. The dog hesitated. Memories flashed through its mind. The night he first met the witch, the moment he agreed to her curse, the years spent hunting under moonlight. He had done terrible things for her. But this felt wrong. The witch sensed his hesitation. You owe me, my son, she said, her voice turning cold. Without me, you would have rotted in the dirt. The dog lowered its head. And because of you, he muttered, I've rotted in the dark. For the first time, the witch looked afraid. The dog's eyes weren't red anymore. They glowed gold. The rabbit, still bleeding, whispered a sound, soft but powerful. The walls trembled, and the witch's reflection in the mirror behind her twisted into something monstrous. The pact was breaking. The witch stepped closer, her crooked fingers stretching toward the trembling rabbit. Such bright eyes, she murmured. Too bright for a creature of the earth. As her shadow fell over the rabbit, something strange happened. The candlelight dimmed, yet the rabbit's eyes began to glow on their own. Not red, not yellow, white. The witch froze, a chill running down her spine. That kind of light didn't belong to the living or the dead. She whispered a spell, trying to bind it, but her words stuttered midair. The symbols carved on the walls started to fade instead of glowing. The magic was reversing. The dog watched in silence. The rabbit lifted its head. When it spoke, the voice was soft but powerful. You think you made me, it said, but you only brought me back. The witch staggered backward, her nails scraping the wooden floor. No, that's not possible. The rabbit's glow spread through the room, revealing old, burnt handprints on the walls, children's handprints. The witch's eyes widened. She remembered that night. The fire, the screams, the boy who had tried to save her before the villagers burned them both. You're him, she gasped. The boy. The rabbit blinked slowly. And you're still the same monster. The wind howled outside. The hut began to creak and groan. Something deep and ancient was waking. The truth she buried centuries ago. The witch's voice trembled. If that's true, then this world is already ending. The witch tried to regain control. She raised her arms and shouted a binding spell, her voice echoing like thunder. But the words fell apart, literally. Each syllable dissolved into ash midair. Her magic was breaking. The rabbit's light filled the room, cracking through every symbol, every bone charm, every curse she had ever made. The black dog howled in pain, its body glowing and flickering, torn between two worlds. What's happening to me? It cried. The witch screamed back. My power. It's unraveling. The floorboards split open. Beneath the hut, black roots moved like snakes, feeding on the witch's power. The fire in her cauldron exploded, showering the room with sparks. The rabbit stepped forward, unafraid. Its voice carried calm fury. You cursed others to live in darkness. Now the darkness takes you. The witch fell to her knees, clutching her chest as her skin cracked like stone. The dog's chains melted away, the same chains that had bound its soul for decades. It looked at the rabbit, eyes full of sorrow and confusion. Am I free? For now, the rabbit whispered. But freedom always costs something. The roof of the hut began to collapse. The witch screamed, vanishing in a burst of red smoke. The wind stopped. Silence fell. Only two figures remained, a wounded rabbit glowing faintly, and a black dog breathing heavy under the weight of its own survival. Outside, the forest sighed, alive again, but no longer the same. The storm had passed, but the air still trembled with leftover magic. The rabbit sat near the doorway, its fur still glowing faintly. The dog limped beside it, blood dripping from its paw. For a long time, neither spoke. Then the rabbit turned its head. You know what she was, it said quietly. But do you know what you are? The dog's ears twitched. A curse. That's all. The rabbit's voice grew colder. You were her son. The dog's breath hitched. His eyes widened, remembering fragments. A burning house, a woman's scream, and a boy reaching out through fire. She made me forget, he muttered. She said I was hers, that I was born from the shadows. The rabbit looked straight into his eyes. You were. But before that, you were human. You died trying to save her. She brought you back, as her pet. The dog growled, anger and grief mixing into a low, trembling sound. Then I've been killing for her all this time. Thunder rumbled far away, soft but haunting. The rabbit spoke again, its eyes glowing brighter. She's not gone. Not yet. Her curse still lingers, inside both of us. The dog stood up, trembling. Then we finish it. Tonight. The rabbit nodded once. But in the reflection of the shattered mirror behind them, a pair of red eyes blinked open. The witch was listening. The forest was no longer silent. It was alive, breathing like some ancient beast. Thunder roared overhead, and lightning tore open the sky, flashing across the black trees. The rabbit and the dog stood outside the broken hut. The air smelled of smoke and iron. From deep within the woods came whispers, hundreds of them, chanting the witch's name. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Roots burst from the soil, twisting around the hut like snakes. The witch's laughter echoed, distant but powerful. You can't kill what you're made of, her voice thundered. The trees bent toward the hut, their branches cracking like bones. The dog barked wildly, trying to protect the rabbit, but the forest was against them. The rain turned red, seeping into the dirt like veins. Lightning struck nearby, splitting a tree in half. For a moment, the witch's face appeared inside the flames. Eyes burning, lips curling into a grin. The rabbit's glow flared. She's using the forest, it said. She is the forest now. The dog looked around, panicked. Then how do we fight her? By ending what she started, the rabbit whispered. The wind howled, tearing leaves from the trees. The storm wasn't natural anymore. It was her wrath, her revenge, her resurrection. The forest had become her body, and everything inside it was now trapped. Amid the roaring wind, a vision began to form. Flickering like a film reel burned at the edges. The witch's laughter turned into sobs. For the first time, she didn't sound like a monster. She sounded human. Images flashed before the rabbit's eyes. A woman in white, holding a baby near a fire. Villagers breaking down her door. The smell of smoke, the sound of screaming. The rabbit gasped. You weren't always this, it said softly. The witch appeared again, her form twisting out of the mist. No, she whispered. I was made into this. Her voice trembled. They called me evil because I healed what they feared. My child died in the flames they set. I begged for his soul, and something answered. She looked at the black dog. That's when you came back to me. My son, my curse. The dog shook his head. You turned me into a monster. Tears, black and thick, streamed down her cheeks. I gave you life. You took mine, the dog said quietly. Lightning cracked again, and the vision shifted. The rabbit saw himself, a boy, screaming as the fire closed in, reaching for her hand. I tried to save you, he said. But you saved only yourself. The witch screamed, clutching her chest. Don't you understand? I couldn't lose both of you. The dog stepped back. But you did. The forest went silent. The truth had finally spoken, and it was worse than death. The black dog stood motionless, its breath visible in the cold, heavy air. The witch's words echoed inside his skull, each one burning deeper. He remembered everything now. The smell of smoke, the fire, the crying child that was once his sister, and the witch's desperate face before the curse bound them. I was your son, he said softly. You made me hunt for souls to feed your grief. The witch reached out, her hands trembling. I wanted to make you strong. You made me a weapon, he whispered. He looked toward the rabbit, the one who had been the boy, the one he had chased, hunted, almost killed. The rabbit's eyes were full of sorrow, not hate. You didn't choose this, it said. The dog trembled. But I did the killing. The forest moaned again, branches bending like ribs. The witch's shadow grew larger, rising over them both. You are mine, she snarled. Both of you. My creations. The dog turned toward her, tears cutting through the mud on his face. Then you created your own end. He lunged, not to attack, but to protect the rabbit. The witch screamed, her power slamming against him like fire. His fur burned, his bones cracked, but he didn't stop. He looked back once, his voice barely a whisper. Forgive me, brother. And with one final push, he broke the circle of fire around them, shattering the witch's control. The witch staggered backward, screaming as her magic bled out into the earth. The red glow from her eyes flickered weakly. The storm began to calm, but the price for peace had not yet been paid. The dog lay on the ground, burned and broken, his breathing shallow. The rabbit knelt beside him, glowing softly. She can't die, the dog muttered. Not until someone takes her place. The rabbit understood. Then one of us must stay. The witch, gasping, whispered, No, I didn't want this. I only wanted my family back. The rabbit's voice was gentle. You had it, but you destroyed it. He turned to the dog. Only your sacrifice can end her curse. You're still bound to her blood. The dog smiled weakly. Then let it end with me. He dragged himself toward the witch, ignoring her pleas. Mother, rest now. The rabbit's light grew brighter, pure white now, not from power, but release. The witch's scream filled the forest, echoing through every tree, every stone. The dog's body burst into flames of light, not fire, cleansing light. The witch's form disintegrated, scattering like dust into the night sky. The forest fell silent once again. The air felt clean for the first time in centuries. But where the dog once lay, there was only a patch of glowing ash. The rabbit whispered softly, He's free. The night sky burned red. The forest glowed with the last breath of the curse. The rabbit stood still, watching the ashes rise like fireflies. The witch's voice screamed one last time, a sound that was neither human nor beast, echoing from every direction. The dog's light flared once more, shaping a faint silhouette, tall, human, whole. For a heartbeat, he looked like the man he used to be. He turned toward the rabbit, smiling softly. Tell her, he said, his voice fading with the wind. Tell her I forgave her. Then he was gone. The witch's final cry shook the earth. Trees cracked, roots burst from the soil, and the air split apart. The forest's heart, the old hut, collapsed into dust. Silence followed. A silence too deep, too heavy. Then, from beneath the ashes, a faint whisper drifted. Blood remembers. The rabbit looked up. For the first time, dawn touched the horizon. But the warmth felt strange, not comforting, almost watchful. He turned back, toward the empty clearing. The curse was broken. But magic never truly dies. It only changes form. Behind him, the forest exhaled a final sigh, and the wind carried a soft, haunting laugh. The witch's scream had ended, but her echo still lived. Morning came slowly, pale and gray, as if even the sun was afraid to rise. Mist drifted over the ashes of the hut. The forest, once cursed and screaming, now stood still, quiet, exhausted, yet alive. The rabbit hopped through the clearing, leaving small prints in the wet soil. His glow was gone now, replaced by a faint warmth, like a heartbeat beneath his fur. Then he stopped. In front of him, lying near the burnt remains, was a small wooden pendant, shaped like a crescent moon. It was cracked, but the symbol carved into it was unmistakable, the witch's mark. The rabbit nudged it gently, and the pendant pulsed once, a soft, blue light. For a moment, the air shimmered, and a figure appeared beside him, a young boy with kind eyes and a faint smile. The dog's spirit. He knelt, placing a hand on the rabbit's head. "She's gone," he said quietly. "But something tells me, not for long." The boy's form faded into mist, carried away by the morning breeze. The rabbit looked up at the sunlight filtering through the trees. It felt clean, but deep in the woods, somewhere unseen, a single red flower began to bloom. Its petals pulsed like a heartbeat. The curse had ended, but something had taken root. That night, the forest was quiet again, too quiet. The villagers who lived nearby noticed strange things. No animals moved, no birds sang, and the wind carried whispers that didn't sound like wind at all. Inside the forest, near the ruins of the old hut, the red flower had grown taller. Its petals glowed faintly in the moonlight. Then, as the wind brushed past it, a shadow began to form behind it. Thin, crooked, familiar. A woman's hand rose from the dirt. The witch's hand. Her voice returned as a whisper. "They always come back, those who take from me." From a distance, the rabbit watched. His glow flickered nervously. He could feel her, not alive, not dead, but waiting. The flower's light spread, forming veins through the ground. Each pulse sent ripples across the soil, awakening the old forest once again. Somewhere, the faint howl of a dog echoed, soft, mournful, but defiant. The witch's shadow paused. "Still protecting them?" she hissed. The howl grew louder. The light from the rabbit's eyes met the darkness creeping from the soil. A battle between what remained of light and shadow began, not loud, not fiery, but eternal. As the moon disappeared behind the clouds, the forest went dark once more. Then, a single whisper broke through. "Every curse leaves a seed." The wind carried her laughter again, faint, mocking, and endless. The story was over, but evil had only changed its shape. Because the pact was never broken. It just needs the new victim. I'm Speech Bubble, and if you like this story, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel to hear the next tale from the dark, because next time, it might be your turn.